working to connect a region of over 600 cultural bridges between our lands.
Here at the Shoe Museum in Marikina in the Philippines, reminding you to watch Digital News every Tuesday and Thursday at 7:30 p.m. And I am 1 for
25. Landmarks, Linggo, alas 6 hanggang alas 7 ng gabi.
And I'm at the DJ, and I'm inviting all of you to watch Anong Sa Inyo, an online show from Net25 Kids Live that will now be on TV. We talk about anything under the sun, that's music, art, health, fashion, and beauty. So we'll have lots of fun learning and being creative and stuff like that. Also, I'm inviting everyone to watch Kid Kwento, another online show from Net25 Kids Live that will also be on TV. So we'll see you all there. Bye!
Working to connect a region of over 600 cultural bridges between our lands.
Hello and welcome to ASEAN in Focus. I'm Maricar Velasco, delivering to you the latest news in and around the ASEAN region. On today's headlines. 2 people were killed and more than a dozen injured after a fire broke out at one of Bangkok's busiest shopping malls Wednesday evening, officials said. Finance Secretary Carlos Dominguez III has underscored the need for the Asian Development Bank and the World Bank to closely coordinate efforts and explore their complementarities to more effectively accelerate sustainable development in the Asia-Pacific region. Obstacle course race will debut in the Southeast Asian Games as a regular sport. Two people were killed and more than a dozen injured after a fire broke out at one of Bangkok's busiest shopping malls Wednesday evening, officials said. The blaze at Central World broke out at around 6 p.m. A spokesperson for the Irawan Medical Emergency Center told reporters. One person died at the scene and another at a nearby hospital, the spokesperson said. Bangkok's Governor Aswin Kwamwang confirmed the 2 deaths. He said he has been informed that the fire was put down, adding that an investigation will commence tomorrow. By 9 p.m., the number of people injured had reached 17, said Erawan Medical Emergency Center. Footage circulating on social media earlier in the evening showed smoke billowing from the structure. Employees of the mall stood outside as sirens blared while firefighters and emergency medical staff moved the injured out of stretchers. Police spokesperson Krisana Patancharoen said one person had led to their death. The area around Central World is a popular shopping destination and was chock full of tourists and rush hour traffic. A company representative told reporters the fire appeared to have started on the 8th floor but had been contained and the building evacuated. The mall is owned by Central Group, which is controlled by one of the wealthiest families in the country. The palace on Wednesday, April 10, rebuked China after newspaper reports said there were Chinese vessels near islands occupied by the Philippines in the West Philippine Sea. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo said if they continue to be present in the territory, then it is an assault on sovereignty. Following reports on the presence of the vessel near Kota Island, these were apart from the vessels near Pag-asa Island. According to Panelo, the Department of Foreign Affairs would file a diplomatic protest if the information was validated. He says they have no business being there. Foreign Affairs Secretary Teddy Locsin has filed a diplomatic protest over the presence of Chinese vessels near Pag-asa Island. President Rodrigo Duterte, under whose administration the Philippines now has warmer relations with China, has also chided the Asian giant for its move. Upon his assumption of office, Duterte has opted to set aside for the time being the 2016 Permanent Court of Arbitration decision that invalidated China's 9-dash line. The line delineated China's expansive claims in the West Philippine Sea. The wife of Malaysia's ex-leader was Wednesday hit with a new corruption charge, the 20th since her husband's shock election loss, and complained she was the victim of slander. Rosma Mansour, widely reviled in Malaysia due to her penchant for lavish overseas shopping sprees, was charged with accepting a 5 million ringgit or $1.2 million bribe in relation to a government solar power project. She has already been hit with a barrage of money laundering and tax evasion charges linked to the looting of Sovereign Wealth Fund 1MDB. Allegations that she, her husband Najib Razak, and his cronies stole billions of dollars from the fund and went on a global shopping spree played a major role in the election loss of Najib's coalition last year. Appearing in a Kuala Lumpur court, Rosma denied the latest charge against her, that she accepted a kickback to help a company secure a project providing solar power generators to school. Afterwards, Rosma told reporters that people had started apologizing to her and Najib for having believed all the slander against them. She said people chose to listen to all the lies, to all the untrue stories that have been told, and she will remain patient and face all the trials and tribulations which Allah has made her go through. The 67-year-old had already been hit with 2 charges over the solar power case in November when she was accused of accepting bribes worth 189 million ringgit. The other charges she faces relate to the plundering of 1MDB. The United Nations Cultural Agency said Wednesday that it had awarded its annual Press Freedom Prize to 2 Reuters reporters jailed in Myanmar over the reporting on the killings of Rohingya Muslims in the country. Wallon and Kiao Sau have been behind bars since December 2017, detained on claims of violating state secrets. Wojciech Tokman, a Polish reporter who headed the jury for the UNESCO Prize, said they were arrested because they documented a taboo topic regarding crimes committed against Rohingyas. The Guillermo Cano Prize, named for a Colombian journalist gunned down in Bogota in 1986, will be awarded on May 2 at a ceremony in Ethiopia on the eve of World Press Freedom Day. Rights groups have denounced the jailing of the 2 Myanmar nationals as an attempt to muzzle criticism of the government's treatment of the Rohingya minority. At the time of their arrest, the reporters were probing the extrajudicial killing of 10 Rohingya men at Indin village in northern Rakhine State. They were convicted of possessing classified information regarding security operations in Rakhine, from where an estimated 740,000 Rohingya fled during an army-led crackdown the United Nations has described as ethnic cleansing. They were sentenced to 7 years in prison. In February, lawyers lodged an appeal with Myanmar Supreme Court. Welcome back. Finance Secretary Carlos Dominguez III has underscored the need for the Asian Development Bank and the World Bank to closely coordinate efforts and explore their complementarities to more effectively accelerate sustainable development in the Asia-Pacific region, the Department of Finance said in a statement on Tuesday. On behalf of the Philippines, Dominguez said during the recently concluded Association of Southeast Asian Nations 23rd Finance Ministers meeting that close coordination between the two multilateral institutions will help weed out duplications in their functions and help them respond more effectively to regions' financing needs. Aside from the Philippines, Cambodia and Vietnam also called on the ADB and World Bank to work in synergy and complement their efforts in alleviating poverty in the region. From the point of view of the governor of both institutions, they don't see the necessity for spending so much overhead in duplicating the offices of both ADB and the World Bank around the region. From the point of view of the client, asking why they have to deal with two bureaucracies for the same purpose. He added he'd like to suggest, especially on behalf of the smaller countries, that ADB and World Bank consider becoming more closely coordinated and perhaps look for areas where they can cut their own internal cost in servicing the other needs of ASEAN. Dominguez represents the Philippines in the Governor's Board of the ADB and the World Bank. He made the statement after the representations or the presentations before the ASEAN finance ministers by the ADB and World Bank about their respective institutions' financing programs in the region. Embassies and development aid partners were honored at the Mission Phil Awards held Thursday at the SMX Samsung Hall. Partnering with key government agencies, Mission, Philippines Business Mirror Envoys, and Expats Awards recognize nations and aid agencies that have helped spur the country's growth and development. Business Mirror publisher T. Anthony C. Cabangon said that it took them more than a year of coordination and collaboration with government agencies and other partners to establish Mission Phil as a platform that brings to the public's attention the commendable and times overlooked efforts by the diplomatic community and bilateral and multilateral agencies that have benefited the Philippines.
Hello, good evening, Sir Anton.
Hello.
So for this event, what are we celebrating? What is this event about?
Okay, to give you a backgrounder, as I said, this was established, the Envoys and Expat was a brainchild of my father. And in this section, we do feature stories of embassies and their projects, what they're doing for Philippine development.
Yes.
So we decided, why not give this recognition for them? Because at the end of the day, once the last centavo is spent, it's gone. Nobody knows what happens. So with Mission Philippines, we try to give recognition to embassies, aid agencies, multilateral aid agencies, a sort of a awareness to our Filipino that, hey, this embassy has done good job for Department of Education, Infrastructure, Department of DA, and so forth and so on. We hope that in the future, there will be more government agencies that will be joining this undertaking. So we're excited about it.
Now with the Project of the Year, you're the recipient of the award, the Project of the Year. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you very much, Randy. It's a great honor to get this award for this project that we have been undertaking now for 2 years. It is a way where we are trying to support the government in their fight against drugs, because drugs is not only a problem here in the Philippines, but also, of course, we have drug abusers in Europe and have had it for many years. So therefore, we have a system in Europe where we are trying to make sure that we have a comprehensive approach so that we don't only look at the drug addiction as being one particular element, say criminality or substance abuse, but we try to put it into a bigger context where we work with also the families, we work with doctors, we work with psychologists. And this particular project is in Tarlac, the province of Tarlac. And I've been up there a couple of times. I've met with the governor, also with the local Department of Health, and we work hand in hand with them. One thing that I particularly liked there, one experience that I particularly liked was that one time I went up there, I actually went and I visited a number of the families of the drug addicts to talk not only with the kids who were using drugs, but also with their grandparents and their parents and with their uncles to see, I mean, what is it that went wrong with this family or with this person? Why did he get into that situation? And how can we work together to make sure that the person gets out of that situation again?
EU Ambassador France Jessen received Project of the Year. It is an establishment of model recovery clinics, voluntary outpatient-based medical treatment facilities for drug users, a project of the delegation of the European Union. Mission Phil was raised by members of the diplomatic community, multilateral and bilateral aid agencies, as well as officials from various government agencies and members of the private sector and civil society. Japanese International Cooperation Agency was adjudged the Development Aid Partner of the Year. The Embassy of the Year award went to Australia.
Well, I think this says a great deal about the strength of our relationship and in areas where we really cooperate best. And we've been talking for a long time about the importance of education, because education is indeed the future. And so over the last few years we've been doing some remarkable work in the education sector. And so there are a number of projects that I'd like to mention to you that are really, really important, I believe, to the Philippines and also to Australia. There are two in particular. The basic education sector transformation, which is a project that we've been working on for the last 5 years, which has gone through the K-12 reformation, which is so important, and also the assistance that we provide to schools and teachers that enables us to improve the lives of the students. And that's gone to tens of thousands of students over the last 5 years. So I'm absolutely delighted about that. And the second project that I'd like to mention is the Education Pathways to Peace. Now this focuses on the south of the country, particularly Mindanao and the banks of Moro, in bringing education to the most needy in the country. So it is just wonderful to be able to do that and to partner with the Philippines. And I must say that the Philippines Department of Education has been absolutely outstanding to work with, and we just look forward to more of it into the future.
Others who were recognized are the United Kingdom Embassy Awardee for Science, Technology and Innovation Award, Japanese International Cooperation Agency Development Aid Partner Awardee for Science, Technology and Innovation Award, Japan Embassy Awardee for the Infrastructure Support Award, Japanese International Cooperation Agency Development Aid Partner Awardee for the Infrastructure Support Award, Republic of Korea Embassy Awardee for the Visit the Philippines Award, United States of America Embassy Awardee for Biodiversity Award, GF UNDP Development Aid Partner Awardee for Biodiversity Award, Japan Embassy Awardee for the Transportation Infrastructure Support Award, Japanese International Cooperation Agency Development Aid Partner Awardee for the Transportation Infrastructure Support Award, Japan Embassy Awardee for the Agriculture and Fisheries Award, World Bank Development Aid Partner Awardee for the Agriculture and Fisheries Award, Australia Embassy Awardee for the Education of the Nation Award, GOADFAT Development Aid Partner Awardee for the Education of the Nation Award, Japan Embassy Awardee for the Trade and Investment Award, Japanese International Cooperation Agency Development Aid Partner Awardee for the Trade and Investment Award. Eagle Broadcasting Corporation's Net25 is official broadcast partner of Mission Phil with its special awards telecast on April 28. President Rodrigo Duterte will sign the long-delayed 3.7 trillion peso national budget for 2019 on April 15, Malacanang confirmed on Wednesday. According to House Speaker Salvador Panelo, the palace confirms that the ceremonial signing of the General's Appropriations Act 2019 has already been calendared in the President's schedule on April 15, Monday. Panelo said the 2019 budget is a continuation on Duterte's promise of bringing genuine change in the country. He adds this year's national budget, or the third under the Duterte administration, is a continuation of the narrative of genuine change and meaningful progress through, among others, intensified infrastructure development programs, expanded policies on human development and poverty reduction, as well as strategies in advancing the peace and order situation of the country. Panelo thanked the Senate and the House of Representatives for passing a budget supportive of the President's vision. He said they thank the men and women of the Senate and the House of Representatives for supporting the administration's endeavors in pursuing a path towards the President's vision of a prosperous and high-income economy under a secure and peaceful nation where all Filipinos can experience a dignified and comfortable life. The government has been operating on a reenacted budget since January 1 after lawmakers failed to pass the bill last year due to allegations of pork insertions. The passage of the 2019 budget was further stalled due to allegations of last-minute amendments made by the House after both chambers of Congress ratified the bicameral Conference Committee report. Panelo earlier said Duterte has the right to veto certain realignments and would not sign anything unconstitutional. The 17th meeting of the ASEAN-Russia Joint Cooperation Committee took place in Jakarta, Indonesia on April 2, focusing on seeking measures to speed up joint projects and activities. At this ambassador-level meeting, the two sides lauded the upgrade of bilateral relations to strategic partnership in November 2018 and recognized positive outcomes in their cooperation in different areas over the years. Currently, Russia is ASEAN's 8th biggest trade partner and 10th biggest investor. Two-way trade has been increasing, reaching $16.79 billion in 2017. As many as 79 out of 139 action lines in the ASEAN-Russia Plan of Action in the 2016-2020 have been implemented in various areas, from politics, security, economy, culture, society, to connectivity and development gap narrowing. Alongside, ASEAN and Russia have conducted cooperation plans for the 2016 to 2020 period covering energy, agriculture, and food security, along with the action plan on science, technology, innovation for the 2016 to 2025 period. The joint projects and activities have been funded by the ASEAN-Russia Dialogue Partnership Financial Fund, which sees Russia's annual $1.5 million contribution. ASEAN countries lauded the efficiency of the ASEAN Center, the Moscow State Institute of International Relations, over the years, which positively contributes to the promotion of exchange and scientific collaboration among universities and research centers of Russia and the ASEAN countries. Russia affirmed that it considers ASEAN as one of the top priorities in the country's external policy and highly values the central role of the grouping in maintaining peace and stability in the region. Obstacle course race will debut in the Southeast Asian Games as a regular sport. This was announced by Philippine Olympic Committee President Ricky Vargas when he graced the weekly Philippine Sports Writers Association Forum at the Hotel Amelie Manila in Malate on Tuesday. Said Lau has agreed to obstacle course race back in the SEA Games. He said, who was accompanied by POC Chairman Kong Abraham Bambol Tolentino and Association of Boxing Alliance in the Philippines Secretary General Ed Pixon. Last week, Philippine SEA Games Organizing Committee Executive Director Tom Carrasco announced that obstacle course race was dropped from the list of regular sports featured in the 30th SEA Game, with only 3 countries, namely Singapore, Malaysia, and the Philippines, competing. To become a regular sport in the SEA Games, it should have entries from at least 4 countries. Filipinas Obstacle Sports Federation President Attorney Alberto Agra welcomed the re-inclusion of the sport in the SEA Games, which the Philippines will be hosting for the 4th time. Football mad Myanmar teen Quang Cantolin roots for Manchester United, worships stars Lionel Messi, and was honored as the best player in recent tournament. But the 16-year-old expertly navigates the pitch with just one leg and a crutch, the only disabled footballer on his team. Take a look.
Bolong can di lo chila mo kong lai ba mi khana mi ya bo khana mi ya jai me tu long diao lo ba can ta chana bolong sa can no wa chano uli ya ta ja li lo bi a ne ko bolong ne lama ma can Messi. Jadi tahu cakap tu, tu lepas dan no lepas dan figure legend bila Messi kan ada.
And that is the latest news in the Southeast Asian nations. Stay updated about the ASEAN region. I'm Maricar Velasco and I am 1 with 25.